I'm sorry. I've only been a minute delayed. I do apologise. There was a slight gremlin. And yes, good to be here. Welcome to the study in my humble abode here in uh, North Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. I don't know how many of you are around watching. No one so far, but hopefully we'll see how things go. If you just give me a moment, I will just we'll just see how things are. I'm just going to try something, so please bear with me, and I do apologise. But yes, it's all fairly good. Right. Um, yeah. So how's things? For those of you who may sign in later or watch this later, it's basically a brief chat about how we think the Biden Trump debate will be um, in a later on this evening or in the early hours of tomorrow morning if you're on the side of the Atlantic. Of course, if you're on the other side of the world, like New Zealand, then it will be at some point in the afternoon. So, yes, it will be fascinating. I get the impression it's going to be absolutely brutal. If Trump's the sort of person who makes steam come out of your ears, then you need to be prepared for that. Because I get the impression from what I've read online, what's been said, and what's been leaked out, that Trump is going to really get nasty as he can and go for Biden. But that's Trump. Why? It's got to a point. Well, what else do you expect from the guy? With Joe Biden, it's hello to my one viewer so far. And two viewers. Hello. Good to see you. Hang on, I will see if yes. But then Biden, I hope, has been very well trained. Hello, 3 viewers now. That he will hopefully be very aware of what he's expected and will remain calm at all times in spite of all the attempts to break him. I mean, from the last debate, I think it was clear that if Biden doesn't really have to do anything, he just has to rely on Trump to explode and things go his way and show how unpresidential Trump can be. And so what I'm also here is to hear what you guys have got to say and what you whether you have any views, etc. So if you want to ask any questions or give your opinion on anything, do let me know, and we'll see where we go from there. Don't be shy. I mean, even if you're a Trump supporter, then please, you can say something. But hopefully we'll get to chat. Otherwise, I'm just talking into air for a few minutes, and it's not good. But this is part of a larger context. And I will stop at any point if you have any questions to ask. At some point, this is part of a larger context that we need to remember that at some point. It's part of a large context about where America is and where America is going. And this is always the case in US elections, or any election in the world where there's a national election. You ask yourself, where's the country been for the last XYZ period of time? Where do we want the country to be going for the next? But this seems to be the case more than ever, because with American politics being increasingly polarized, where do we go? What do we do? And because it's almost frightening to think what will happen after the election. How will the winning side cope? How will the losing side cope? If, as it looks in the polls, it's Trump, the Trump Republicans who lose, how will they take losing? How will they take losing badly if they lose badly? If Biden's lot win, how are we going to? How are they going to? Whatever. How are those of us who are opposed to Trump? How will see that? But how will Biden's lot deal with that? That victory. But alternatively, if Biden loses, how will the Democrats manage? And how will Trump's lot be if they win? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've lost a viewer. Zero. I do apologise. I have to do better. I can't sing and dance to entertain you, but I'll try. But it's hello to next week. We need to think about, what I'm saying in generally is we need to think about and take a deep breath about where America is going and where it is now, and to be prepared for the result. That is the most important thing. Be prepared. Whether Trump wins or Biden wins, I think that it is not the end of the problems, because the country is so polarized. We all around the world need to take a deep breath and see where that's going. Yeah. And hopefully something good will happen. It's going to be, I think, one of the most memorable US election nights. And I do think it will be one of the most important ones. Sorry, I'm just checking to see whether anyone said anything. As I said before, if you want to ask me a question, if you want a discussion, this is what I'm here for this evening. Please do, and we'll take it from there. But basically, where are we going? What are we going to get from this situation in the US? So, how do you think America will be in the next 4 years? What if the Prince Warzane? What if the election becomes unclear who is winner? That is a fear. That is a very good fear. Not that any fear is good. As to what's going to happen. One or two of the worst case scenario polls do have, say, Biden at 270 and Trump at 268 electoral college votes. That's not an ideal situation. I think it goes without saying that Trump will say that it's all a fix, being so close, and he will try and deal with it, and it will probably be a whole load of court issues, legal issues, before it is clear. But hopefully something will be clear. And in that situation, I think it would depend on what the popular vote would be as well. I think that would carry an indication. And also which would be the contested states. Can't do better than that, I'm afraid. Prince Warzane. I hope that is best answer, an adequate answer that I can give at this time. But again, if I am open to questions, the situation, I think, one thing that's also important, I think, is that with all the polarization that's going on in American politics, it will pass. The United States is a country that has now been around for 244 years. With the presidential system of government, it's been around for 231 years, and the Constitution was brought in 233 years ago. During that time, we have seen several contested presidential elections, as in the results were contested. 1824 springs to mind, with John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson being two of the candidates. And Andrew Jackson was quite similar to Donald Trump, unfortunately. And he didn't like the result, but things continued. America has survived civil war. America has survived it been two world wars. In more recent times, it has survived civil unrest, as we saw in the 1960s, in late 1960s rather. It has survived Vietnam. It has survived Watergate, where Richard Nixon became the only US president to resign. In the United States has survived a great deal. And yes, this is another testing time, but I do believe that however difficult things get, the United States will eventually recover. It's just a question of when and how. But yeah, it's what does concern me is not so much the election, it's what's the immediate aftermath and how Trump will react. And it does say something, doesn't it? Where you get the only election I know in my lifetime, and I'm 45 years old, the only US election in my lifetime, I mean, where basically the both sides want to see the opposition candidate end up in jail. Is in the core supporters. Core Democrat supporters would love to see Donald Trump wear an orange suit. Ergo, core Trump Republican supporters would like to see that happen to Joe Biden. What a crazy situation that is. It's really bizarre. But yeah, again, any questions you want to ask me, please ask me. I will try my best to answer. Or whether you have any opinions, please share them, and we'll have a discussion from there. This isn't all one-sided, you know. So yeah, we'll take it from there. But yes, I hope that's been of some help. And sorry, yeah, looking a bit messy. Sorry, moment of vanity, looking at myself on the screen there. We'll see. But it's now what's the 22nd of October. I should remember, as a relative has a birthday tomorrow, so it's 22nd, 20. Yeah, so we've got 12 days to go. 12 days, and it's going to, obviously the ante on everything's going to up slightly. So we shall see how it all pans out. Again, I keep saying this because I know people are coming in and out, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I'm just giving my opinions on this partly to fill time. The main point, if you have any questions, if you have any issues, anything like that regarding this election, please do not hesitate to share them with me. We'll have a discussion and we'll take it from there. If you want to give your opinion or to ask a question. We already had one from Prince Warzame, which was, what if the election becomes unclear who is the winner? And it's a nightmare scenario, but it will depend on the courts, was the very short answer I gave. And yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. Oh gosh, Kelvin Dyson, who's a James Bond fan who does a YouTube site, does far better than me at this. He even has a glass of some cocktail or whatever when he discusses it. And there's me just after a long day, just giving my opinion off the cuff, as it were, which is a bit dangerous, but hey, we all do it. So the debate, Trump's going to be quite brutal, but I think, as I said earlier, Biden's going to give as good as he's got, and Biden is prepared for any vicious onslaught. Are any of you going to plan to watch the debate? That's the thing. If you plan to, again, do let me know. Also, in watching the debate, what are you hoping to get out of it? What are you hoping to learn? What are you hoping to understand from it? And again, we'll discuss that quite happily. And yeah, it's one of life's little things. I will hang on here for a few minutes more just to see if anyone starts talking, and we'll see how we go. I seem to be holding your attention at the moment, which is good, and I hope I'll continue to do so. The with regards to the aftermath of the debate, I think if Biden holds his nerve, and if Biden doesn't, you know, lose his temper or get anxious or anything, I think that would be a win for Biden. It's pretty much like a boxing metaphor of holding on your own. You know, now I don't like boxing. It's not a sport I like for what I hope are obvious reasons, but there's something I know of in boxing where apparently if you just sort of stay and hold like that while the punches are raining down on you and you hold against the ropes, at some point, you know, you kind of manage to come through. And that worked apparently for Muhammad Ali in his fight with, was it George Foreman in Zaire? What was Zaire? It's now the Democratic Republic of Congo in '74. I think it will be the same with, to use that metaphor, with Joe Biden. I think Biden will be holding, if he holds his own, if he holds his nerve, if he doesn't lose his temper, he can win this debate. For Trump to win this debate, Trump will have to be more conciliatory. He will have to be more measured. He will have to start showing himself to be more calm. And given what's been, how he campaigns and how he doubles down, I would be very surprised if he did that. But that's partly his way out of closest to winning the debate, if he can win the debate, if Trump was to be a bit more calm and conciliatory. But I don't think he will. But what do you think? What do you think will be the case with Trump and Biden? How do you think they'll react? What do you think will be the case? If you do let me know. And again, we can have a discussion about this and see how things pan out. But it is a tough one. We'll see. We'll see how it all flows. But again, we've got 12 days now, and yeah, we'll see. And so I keep doing this. I'm just checking one or two things whilst I'm talking to see if I missed anything. You haven't lost my attention towards you, that's for sure. And yeah. Okay, it's for anyone who's just signed in, basically any questions you have about the debate, the forthcoming debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a few hours. What do you want to get out of it? What are you expecting? And what do you think? And any questions you want to ask me on my views and how you feel it's going? And do let me know. And we'll see. How nervous are you? But here's a question I'd like to ask some of you guys. How nervous are you of the election results? What? How do you think it will all go? I find with me personally, it's best not to. I try not to think too much about the results. There's something about, part of me thinks it will be Biden who'll win. But then this is where I really start to. I don't take that for granted. And part of the thing that does concern me about that is whoever it is, by what would the margin be? How much would that win be? Because it's the aftermath of the election that's there. And the stuff about, what do you make of all this stuff about Trump supporters going to monitor what goes on at the polling stations. What's your take on that? Because I find it disturbing, and I tend to, every ounce of my Englishness and my experience of voting and what I understand about free and fair elections strikes me that that is voter intimidation. So, it's and it's fascinating for me watching it. I think this is, apart from perhaps 2008, the closest I've ever thrown myself into observing American politics. In that you learn it. I find the more you throw yourself in, the more you learn. I remember I was in the United States in 2008, and I remember asking someone what a caucus was, not knowing the difference between a caucus and a primary. And a caucus is when you have the meetings and the votes come as a result of meetings, so it's a public vote. A primary is like, I suppose, your average election. But yes, and they do count the results more quickly. They tend to be within 2 or 3 hours. Whereas, of course, here in the old Blighty in the United Kingdom, they're all counted by hand with loads of people. And it take the results, it goes counted from when the polls close at 10 p.m. and then all the way through into the following day. But most of it, the results coming through about 4 or 5 in the morning. So, yeah, it's a lot quicker in the US. But again, what do you think about the forthcoming election? What do you think of the forthcoming debate? What do you think? Here's something. What do you think will be the top 2 or 3 topics of discussion in this debate between Biden and Trump? What do you think will be said? Where do you think the big clashes, everything like that, will be? I suppose for me personally, I think that it will be a Hunter Biden will be mentioned a lot by Trump. He will try and break him on that. Iran and Russia will be mentioned by Biden. The economy always gets mentioned, as it should. Trump's handling or lack of the coronavirus, that will be mentioned. So that's 4 subjects. And will there be fireworks? To use an American phrase, you betcha. But again, we'll see. And I've never known an American election like this. And the earliest one I remember was Reagan v. Mondale in 1984. So, and the other interesting thing is, there will be some history involved. If Trump wins, he will end up being providing he is not forced to resign in disgrace, or the 25th Amendment isn't enacted and he comes through in one piece, he will leave office in January 2025 as the oldest US president in history. If Biden's elected, he will be the oldest US president in history from the moment he takes office. And I'm among, just give me one moment. And I do think that he will only serve 1 term because of that. Prince Warzone, I think Trump will focus on Hunter Biden and Biden will make the debate all about COVID-19. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that is a very fair point. It's Hunter Biden is seen as a potential Achilles heel, and the Republicans are up against the wall. They will be prodding about that until they feel they can get somewhere. And the more they feel that their back's to the wall, the more they'll prod, or the more they think they'll win. If it's stalemate, it might be a different matter. With regards to COVID, Biden, yeah, he will mention that. That is Trump's Achilles heel. The economy, everything else, yeah, I'll go with that. So yeah, any questions you want to ask me about the debate, any opinions you have, do let me know, and we'll have a discussion about that, and we'll see how it all pans out. So yes, it's quite something, isn't it? This forthcoming TV debate. I do admit I do intend to watch it, but I am, as I said, I live in the UK, so if you haven't worked out from my accent, I'm British, and that would mean having to get up around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I'll have to check before I go to bed. Set my alarm and watch it. I remember the last time I did this, I told myself, because I wanted to write a blog post about it on my Mars Hill blog. And I was like, I don't really want to write it. This is madness. But I thought it would get a lot of hits. And if I wanted to write about the debate, it needed to get maximum hits, to get it all fresh in the mind. It had to be out of my blog by 6 a.m. at the latest. So I thought, I've got to watch it. So I set my alarm for 2 a.m. And I remember when I woke up, I thought, this is madness. It defies common sense. I will be, and if anything else, I will be half asleep. Within 10 minutes, steam was coming out my ears at the way the debate was had descended into just sort of, at worst, you could say it was like a punch up between two old men on a rainy Saturday night in the back of in a car park out by a bar or a pub. You know, that almost stereotype. I suppose at best it was enlightening to me. I meant I was wide awake enough to have written a full blog post about it before 4 a.m. and out and published. So who knows, maybe it'll be the same this time, but I would rather they're a bit more civilized. I would hate for it to be the kind of mess it is now. I mean, what does it say about US politics? What does it say when we get that kind of mutual nastiness? Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford got along quite well. Ditto, I mean, Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan respected each other. Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale respected each other. I don't know what it was like between George Bush Sr. and Michael Dukakis, but I'm sure that was fine. Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr. ended up being good friends. Bill Clinton and Bob Dole respected each other. I don't know how it was between Al Gore and George W. Bush, or George W. Bush and John Kerry, but again, I'm sure, relationships were better than between these candidates. Barack Obama and John McCain were good friends. I mean, he even managed to be fairly relaxed and jokey together at the Al Smith dinner a few weeks before the election. That's when they're opposing presidential candidates. There was respect between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. Obviously, between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, it is now so bad. I mean, I don't know if you remember when it was George H.W. Bush's funeral. Hillary Clinton just looked ramrod straight ahead when Trump leaned over to shake hands with Obama. Like, I do not want to connect with this guy. I do not want to. It was all like that. And yeah, it's got nasty. And as I said earlier, it's got to the point where you get core Democrats wanting Trump in prison and core Republicans wanting Biden in prison. Well, core Trump supporting Republicans. And whatever the rights and wrongs of that, whatever wrongs have done, don't you think that is sad that American politics has got to that state? Don't you think that is sad that it's all got all messed up like that? But do let me know what you think. If you have something to say, we'll have a discussion. I'll keep going for a few more minutes. Hang on, but yeah, it's not good, and we'll see how it is. I have to say, doing this, just as an aside, it feels a bit like a dress rehearsal, because I'll be doing. This is a bit of a plug. On the election night, I will be doing a live broadcast results. I've got interviews lined up with some American friends and acquaintances of mine, and some in the UK who follow US elections, and I will be broadcast here live from about 10 p.m. on election night GMT. That will be 5 p.m. US East Coast time, and 2 p.m. on the West Coast. And I will be going through all the way till 4:30 a.m. GMT, which is of course 11:30 EST, 11:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on the Pacific coast of the US. And I will, yeah, that'll be a bit daunting. I'll have to be doing a lot of this for 6 hours. But enough about that. That's the plug. Again, any questions you want to ask, any thing you want to know about the debate, and we'll take it from there. I've mentioned the subjects I think will be discussed, what the and how the debate will go. Interesting to see who's moderating it. I don't think I've checked that. Do bear with me for a moment. I do apologise for this. I'm just going to see what that says. Here we go. Oh yes, Kristin Welker, who works for NBC News. I should have known that, and I do apologise. Hora Dejanta is written in. Hello, Hora. Is it Hora? I do apologise if I get it wrong, the pronunciation. Trump will make immigration harder? Question mark. Your guess is as good as mine on that. I think what will be the case is that if Trump wins, and he's the clear winner, and it depends on the Senate whether that changes Democrat or Republican. The elephant in the room in some of this is the Senate. If the Senate turns Democrat, then you've got a Congress that is Democrat run, and that will severely limit what Trump does. So that it depends on that. But I think if Trump gets his own way, yes, he will make it harder. All bets are off. But it really depends on the Senate. It really depends on whether that goes Democrat or Republican. And of course, that's where it all throws at. But yeah, sorry, I do apologise for all the pointing and stuff. I just as we all know, Biden is sensitive about his family, and Trump focuses too much on Hunter Biden. If Trump focuses too much on Hunter Biden, do you think Biden will react to this stupidly? Well, Biden can be a bit of a loose cannon on deck. However, this will be expected. His advisors and his campaign managers will know that Biden, they have rehearsals with these things. You get a member of their respective campaign teams who pretends to be the opposing candidate, and it's a dress rehearsal so that whatever punches are thrown their way, they know how to react. Of course, that's the theory. The practice might be difficult, but it will be drilled into Joe Biden time and again. This is what will happen. He will turn nasty. Hold on to your hold on to the ground. Do not let him push you like that. The thing is, he flew off the handle once or twice, but there were times when he held his own, Joe Biden, where I think many of us would have just exploded had we, members of our family, been insulted in the same way. And Trump did try and provoke him. So, I think Biden will do his best to hold his ground, and he will be expecting it. I would be extremely surprised if he didn't expect it. So, yeah, I suppose the obvious thing to ask is, if you want to look at a dysfunctional family in the United States, what about some members of Donald Trump's family? The mere fact that his niece has written a rather unpleasant book about him, or a factual or an honest book, whichever way, any way you look at it, whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, that is a sign that there's dysfunction in his family. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, but yeah. So we'll see how things go with that. So for recap, for those of you who will ask so far, oh, I do apologise, but I do need to change. Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, it's if I don't know what it is, it's best if I check it. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it's to recap on some of the questions about that have been asked so far that I've answered. For any of you who may have joined in, what if the election becomes unclear who is winner? It really depends on it will be nasty, and it will go down to the courts, I think. Yes, he will focus on Hunter Biden. It depends. As for Trump making immigration harder, it depends on the Senate results. And yes, Trump will bring in Hunter Biden, but Biden will be expected it. Again, Prince Warzim again. Do you think Biden will bring Trump family business? Well, he didn't before, and I was I think I was surprised at that, because my gut reaction watching it was, if I had been got at in a way Trump got at Biden, and I'm not a seasoned politician, and I wouldn't have expected, there would have been a part of me that would have been aching to mention that, but I doubt he will. If you think in the cold light of day, in the cold sober light of day, when you look at it, it's best if Joe Biden doesn't go there, and this is the reason why. There's the legality involved. The allegations could be made that are perhaps legally questionable to ask for, even though you have a gut instinct to think that Biden might be spot on. And I think for legal reasons, he might decide not to go down that path. So if he does go down that path, that means it's been pretty well prepared beforehand and it's been decided, and yeah, they feel it's a safe place to go. If he doesn't, then I'm not surprised. I don't see how that would, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? And I don't think, and if my advice to everyone is, if Trump's the sort of person who gets your blood boiling, be prepared for that. And be prepared for him to say things that are going to make you explode with anger. And for those of you who are frustrated with regards to if you're watching it and you're not happy with Joe Biden, well, Biden has a coalition of support. A number of people will be voting for him who aren't keen on him, but they dislike Trump far more. But it will be interesting to see how Biden does, as to whether he is a bit more proactive. But I think we'll see a different performance from Biden this time, because the last one was so, and each side does look at where have we gone wrong, where are we going. Now, I don't think the Trump campaign are that good at self-awareness. So I don't know, but I think Biden will be better prepped than Trump in that. But Trump will go in all. He will be vicious. He will be unrelenting. The question is how Biden reacts to that. And that's that. Any more questions from anyone? Anything you want to say? Don't be shy. I can keep this going for a while, but it's good to know if you have any questions, any opinions. Don't be shy about sharing any opinions, and we'll see how it goes. Look, I've been talking non-stop for 40 minutes now. Yeah, it's a bit. I should have. Yeah, again, I mentioned great Kelvin Dyson on with his James Bond fan YouTube things, and I follow Kelvin Dyson on YouTube because he's quite funny, as well as quite insightful about things. But he always has a drink on hand, and I don't. So my throat's gone quite dry now. So alcohol would be a good idea for something like this, but maybe a glass of water or soft drink. Yeah. And again, are any of you? Here's what: are any of you planning not to watch it or to avoid it? Do talk, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, it's been good. But for those of you spoken so far to Hora Dujanta and Prince Warzane, thank you so much for what you've said. And it's been good to chat. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one, an interesting one, and we'll see where it goes. Yeah, and before I go, I want to chance to plug again. I will be doing a live overview of the election on election night on this YouTube site. I'll be here from 10 p.m. GMT to 4:30 a.m. GMT. That is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11:30 Eastern Standard Time if you're in the US, and of course 2:30 to lost sense math to 2 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and if you're in the UK, that is 10 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. And if you're in continental Europe, because Britain's there an hour behind the rest of Europe, it will be 11 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. But yeah, it's been good to talk with you all. I think this is. I've done this quite rarely, so this is perhaps the most interactive. It is the most interactive live stream I've done. But I think I'll be doing a bit more of this. This was also decided last minute as well, so it wasn't pre-advertised enough. But I think I'll sign off now. I've got a meal to have and catch up on 1-2 things. And yeah, good to talk with you all. And thank you very much. All right. Cheers. Have a good one.